How's it going, everyone? My name is Aaron Hilliard. This is Mushroom Wonderland, and today I'm just going on like a habitat hike. I'm gonna look at some of the plants and fungi along the way, help describe what's growing trailside out here in winter. So come with me on a stroll through the forest of the Pacific Northwest. It's lightly snowing. It's beautiful out here. Just me and my two dogs are gonna go on a super peaceful walk and helping to identify the plants and mushrooms along the way. So thanks for joining me on this episode of Mushroom Wonderland. Let's go for a walk in the woods.
Welcome to Mushroom Wonderland.
I was really hoping for like a couple of inches of snow, but it's just been like these huge big wet flakes, and then it's all sort of melting. I think it's like 35 degrees, so it's a little bit above freezing. So everything that's been stuck on the trees is now melting and dripping. There goes Loki and Gunner. Loki is the GSP, and this is Gunner, my hound lab. These dudes love it out here in the woods. And Loki can find us truffles, maybe. Right here, I came across this old hemlock log that's been cut down out of the trail. There's this little fruiting of mushrooms growing off of it. And these guys, when I flip them over, kind of have this grayish look to them, to the gills underneath. And you might have been expecting a fluorescent green color, because a really common poisonous mushroom that grows around here is the Hyphiloma fascicularia, the sulfur tuft. Super common, really recognizable because of its fluorescent green gills. And they look just like this on top, but when you flip this one over, it doesn't have that fluorescent green look. This one is known as the smoky gill, or the conifer tuft, a special mushroom closely related to the sulfur tuft, but these are edible, and actually a pretty good edible. I know people who like to eat these, and I'm included on that list. So these are always growing kind of in tufts off of rotting wood like this. They're a decayer. And this is kind of a small tuft, but you could collect these because no doubt we could run into some more out here. Hyphiloma capnoides, or the smoky gill. This one has a dark purple-brown spore print. It's got this yellowish kind of colored cap that gets a little more yolky colored in the center of the disc right there. And you know, they grow in these tufts on rotting wood. And so if you line all these things up, the spore color, the substrate, the gill color, the cap color, and the way that they grow together, you can narrow down Hyphiloma capnoides. Another good way to tell this apart from its poisonous counterpart is that sulfur tufts are super duper bitter, and these ones are not at all, and these are a good edible. So this is Hyphiloma capnoides, or the conifer tuft. I'm walking through a tunnel of these plants. This is evergreen black huckleberry, or Vaccinium ovatum, and this is really common here, and I usually find this in good mushroom habitats. You can see it's just all around me. It's got these little football shaped leaves. And as the name implies, it's evergreen. These leaves never fall off until they die. And then underneath these, I often find chanterelles and stuff because they share the same coniferous habitat that a lot of the mushrooms do. So if I'm in an area where there's Vaccinium ovatum, not only is it good mushroom habitat, but at the end of summer, these things put off a lot of delicious, delicious black huckleberries. This is another super common plant that grows around here, and more ovoid shaped leaves, kind of football shaped leaves. This one is called salal, or Gualtheria chalone, and this one is used in floral arrangement. So it's collected agriculturally here. People come out and they pick the young tips of this and then sell it. They're affectionately known as brush pickers in this area because they come out and they pick nice bundles of this plant right here. And the salal does have edible berries that were widely used by indigenous peoples. But again, this is one that fruits in the summer. And so right now I'm not finding any salal berry to eat. So huckleberry, the evergreen huckleberry and the salal often growing right next to each other in these great mushroom habitats. Look at this. We found a little meadow with some snow. Loki's only seen snow maybe a couple of times. What do you think, buddy? What do you think? Like the snow? I really must say, it had to be really tough for the first settlers here to survive during the winter time in the Pacific Northwest. In the winter, it is just kind of desolate, you know. There's just not a lot that looks tender enough to eat. Just not a lot of edible berries and things out here in the winter time. It really helped for the settlers to make friends with the native people here, to show them what to eat and how to survive during these times when there's just nothing growing out here. Got to give props to the early settlers here who figured out how to survive, and not only survive but to thrive. Look right over here on the base of this dead hemlock tree is a bunch of these big tree conchs. So these guys, known as Fomitopsis mounsii, or the red-belted conch, really common, probably the most common mushroom in the forest. And they grow these hard woody shelves on logs and decaying stumps and snags like this, and they have pores underneath here that actually drop spores out of them by the millions. I mean, just millions of spores every day come out of these fruiting bodies. So there's quite a few of them on this particular snag, and they're super useful because they help decay the wood. You know, it's eating the inside, all this dead wood, rotting it, breaking it down, turning it back into soil. So, but yeah, they're just doing a really good job out here for the forest. You can see these trees are starting to get bigger, and we got some big Douglas fir trees back here. So getting into more mature stand of forest with these large conifer trees, which play host to a lot of fungi that grow out here as well, in a mycorrhizal relationship with the trees. The roots spread underground, and then the mycelium of the fungus actually wraps around the tips of the roots of the trees and feeds on them, so to speak. The trees are feeding fats and sugars, and the fungus is using enzymes to break down different nutrients in the soil that the trees use. So it's a really important and necessary relationship between the fungi and the trees, called mycorrhizae. And so these conifer forests, like this western hemlock right here with these soft little needles, different size needles. This one's Tsuga heterophylla. These are great mycorrhizal hosts, and you can see they have finer bark. And then look at this big gnarly bark tree over there. That's your Douglas fir, Pseudotsuga menziesii. And this one has also got soft needles, kind of more like a barrel brush, or a bottle brush, I guess. Here's an example of Douglas fir, Pseudotsuga menziesii, and you can see it's soft needles, and it's like a bottle brush, and all the needles are uniform in size. And if you flip them over, they have two little stripes running down them. Not sure if I'm getting that focus there, but the Douglas fir said to have originated here in the Pacific Northwest, maybe in a valley in eastern Oregon. All of the old Douglas fir, without any disturbance, will eventually fall over, and the western hemlock that's been able to exist under the canopy will then grow up and make it unable for the Pseudotsuga to germinate. But as long as we have disturbance, there will be Douglas fir trees, which are great trees for mushroom habitat, and they're also great for lumber because they're very straight. They don't have a lot of limbs. It's just really nice straight wood, and you can pack a lot of them into a small amount of acreage, so they make for really good timber. Here's some little fungus growing on a log here, and these are just little like crusts that have little tiny pores underneath there. Maybe a species of Trametes, probably non-toxic, but not of any culinary value. You know, you see these little crusts and little shelf mushrooms like this growing on the side of dead logs. So the fungus is eating the inside of the log, and these are just little tiny umbrellas that drop spores into the wind. Oh wow, came to this cool pond, maybe more like a swamp. Oh, there's some mallard ducks swimming out there, and there's ice over there and snow on it. That's really nice. These are all cut by beavers. You see how the beavers have chewed these trees down, and that's some cold water. One extra nice thing about hiking this time of year is that like not a lot of people do it. So often I just have trails to myself, and I choose trails that are more rural and less popular anyways. But a trail like this, I'll probably not see anybody all day out here. Big western red cedar right here. Thula plicata. This one's not a true cedar. Here's a good example of the western red cedar. When you look at it up close, it doesn't have needles. See, it has scales, and it's not a true cedar. So it's called red cedar, just one word and lowercase. That's the common name for Thula plicata. And this is a super useful tree. The native people use it for everything, man. It's a really good building product because it's got like antifungal properties and great for making canoes. It's actually like pretty flexible. You can make cordage out of the bark and make baskets and all kinds of cool stuff. Good firewood, great shelter, but not good for finding mushrooms that you can eat around it typically. I mean, there are some saprobic mushrooms that will grow under red cedar, but for the most part, that's not where you're trying to find big mushrooms like chanterelles and lobster mushrooms and stuff. They just don't grow in association with those trees. I see another plant here that has berries in the spring and summer that are good edibles, and this one is called the Oregon grape. And these are really pokey, so you might be familiar with those, right? Got these very serrated leaves, super pokey, and lots of them growing right here. And there's a couple forms, and they're actually used as ornamental plants. A smart thing to do because it doesn't really require any extra irrigation or anything. But these ones are a wild variety that are kind of semi-tall and very pokey, and they make these big purple blueberries in the summer. And they're kind of bitter, but they're decent to eat, especially when they're fully ripe. So Oregon grape, growing right near your sword fern and your evergreen huckleberry, the Vaccinium ovatum. What a beautiful forest right here. A lot of these western red cedar and western hemlock kind of growing together in this little grove with a lot of this sword fern everywhere. Oh, beautiful. It's starting to snow a little bit in this little clearing. I like it. Good thing I got some pretty decent gear because it's wet out here. So make sure you're warm and dry and your hike will be lovely. But if you're cold and wet, it'll get miserable pretty quick out here. Oh wow, it's starting to snow here on the lake. Hey guys, let's try to get around the lake this way. Come on. Look at this one growing on these sticks down here. We have Dacromyces chrysospermus, or the conifer witch's butter, the conifer orange jelly fungus, and all of these orange jelly type fungus that grow on wood around here are technically edible, although they're just mainly water. You can't really cook them into anything. I've seen people dehydrate them into candies or something like that, but not a realistic edible mushroom. If you ate a whole bunch of these raw, you'd probably get a bellyache. But they're kind of fun to impress your friends with. They're just boogery orange slime. The one growing on conifer here typically is Dacromyces chrysospermus. There's a few other orange jelly funguses, and they're all edible but forgettable. So they're really beautiful out here though, and a lot of people, especially new people, are like, whoa, what are those? Those are so amazing. Well, that's what it is. Orange jelly fungus. Yeah, you could go ahead and eat it. You're not going to get any nutritional benefit, but they're kind of cool and they're really bright. Really kind of stand out. So there you go. Yeah, let's go that way. Wow, there's like a huge flock of like sparrows just flew over. Super loud, singing, swirling through the snow. So beautiful. Check out this log right here. It's growing some fungus on it and these nice little rosettes, and quite a bit of it over here. So this one is known as the turkey tail, or Trametes versicolor, and it's growing here all over this log. And you could pick these off and make a medicinal tea out of it. A really common mushroom, and so it's got these concentric rings of different colors, and there's a wide range of colors it can be: ochre, orange, brown, gray, blue, greenish tones. But these ones are a little bit dull. But as you tear one off and you look underneath, you'll see it's got little tiny holes, little tiny pores underneath. And so, yeah, not really an edible one. It's just too fibrous, but you could simmer this for a couple hours and make some nice tea. And right here is the false turkey tail, or Stearium. So you see this one's orange, but it does have those kind of rings. It's bright orange, but underneath it's like the same orangey color and really smooth. It doesn't have that creamy white pore surface that the turkey tail does. So this is your real turkey tail. White porous surface underneath, concentric rings on top, and even kind of fuzzy. And then Stearium hirsutum, or the false turkey tail, is orange, concentric rings, and then orange and smooth on the bottom. Don't worry, this isn't toxic. It wouldn't hurt you if I accidentally picked that and made tea out of it. It just probably doesn't have the medicinal benefits that the Trametes versicolor does. I don't know, man. This trail is pretty primitive, pretty overgrown. Oh, look at this stick right down here. You ever seen this? It's like this bluish green colored wood in the forest. This is caused by a fungus known as chlorocyboria, and it turns the wood this blue-green color. So in Italy for hundreds of years they've made different trinkets and jewelry out of this kind of wood that has been colorized by a fungus. And the chlorocyboria, the fungus that causes this, has really beautiful little blue-green elf cups that grow on the wood sometimes. But you can definitely find this wood pretty commonly in the winter in the Pacific Northwest, and it's been discolored by the chlorocyboria. So you could take this home, dry it out, and then do a little wood whittling if you can find some solid wood in there. But it is a wood decay fungus, so it makes the wood very, very light, and you kind of gotta hope to find a really nicely intact piece to make any jewelry out of. I came across a fruiting of mushrooms here in February. A nice little fruiting of them. Wow, these are pristine right now for this time of year. Beautiful mushrooms. I'm not actually sure of the identity of these. There's a few in here, a few more here. So enough to get a nice little collection. Take some good photos. Wow, they have tough stipes on them. Look at, they're very concave when they get more mature. I don't know. So I'm gonna get some nice photos of these, but cool to see real agaricoid mushrooms, you know, gilled mushrooms growing here in the depths of winter. Very fresh. These aren't old ones. So cool. I'm gonna do a little research and figure out what these are, and I'll put the name here in editing. Lucky, no, come on. He was going to get a duck. You're crazy, dude. That's some February water right there. There's ice on the other side. Woo-wee, that's cold, huh, boy? Did you get a duck? I was trying to, Dad. But you yelled at me. Ooh, right here growing at the base of this huge Douglas fir tree, I see a couple of substantial mushrooms. Just 2 of them though. But if you look right here, you can see it's almost got this brown reddish colored cap, and they're sort of like greasy feeling on top. Interesting. And as I pick one carefully from the base, I want to photograph these. I always find them right at the base of a tree like this. And this one's got white gills that are not attached to the stipe. You see that? This one's known as the Buttery collybia, or the butter mushroom, collybia butteraceae, and not known to be a good edible. Some say it just doesn't taste very good, and it is not very plentiful. Like, this is about the most you ever find, is like 2 of them growing together. And so this one, in the Omphaliotaceae, so like related to jack-o'-lantern mushrooms and stuff, saprobic mushroom, rhodocollybia, cold weather tolerant mushroom, growing here at the base of a Douglas fir. Although not edible, I mean, per se, it's one that you might encounter in the woods out there right now. So there you go, the Buttery collybia, rhodocollybia butteraceae. It's kind of nice just to take a walk with you guys. And, you know, I just got a thing for putting names on things, so I like coming out here and just looking at the different plants and mushrooms that might be growing any certain time of the year. So not a ton of fungus growing out here right now, but still some, and always interesting plants. It's just nice to be out in nature. So thanks for coming along on this habitat hike. You can go over to mushroomwonderland.com, get some merch, or find out when I'm doing private forage tours, or just hit subscribe and hit that notification bell to see upcoming videos. I'm always current on what's growing in the woods. So this is the slow time of the year, but it's still a nice time to get out in the woods. Just take a walk, familiarize yourself with the plants and the mushrooms, and enjoy yourself. So until the next episode, much love, peace out.